Today we're going to discuss a few terms or ideas, and then we will add to your story with a setting. The terms we are looking at today are posthumously or posthumously. You can pronounce it either way. And assiduous. Posthumously, as an adverb, refers to actions, awards, or publications occurring after a person's death. It portrayed as a hero. He just did his program. But the main character found him, got him to come to help. So the last edition is a viable option when creating a story. You could have a hero that everybody thinks is dead, but the characters go find him and say, "You gotta help us again! We need you!" These are your stories. You get to play. You get to create. You get to hand out rewards to characters. And you could use the suggestions above, or you could have an important character die, and in your epilogue, you could recognize him or her posthumously. So those are all kinds of options. You can kill off character or main character at the end of your story, and then epilogue have the reward. So leave a comment on a posthumous reward ceremony you witnessed or seen in a show or movie, or you read about in a book. Our next term is assiduous. Assiduous as an adjective means showing great care, attention, effort, and perseverance. It is marked by careful, unremitting attention or persistent application. Sometimes even a dogged or tireless persistence. Just like keep going. That type of persistence indicates that you're in it for the long haul, or that you have the ability to sit with a task or a challenge for a considerable amount of time. To the ancient Romans, assiduous, and they spelled it differently. Assiduous. I think Google actually fixed it, because I don't think the O was supposed to be there. But anyway, to ancient Romans, assiduous carried meanings ranging from settled or rooted in spot, like you're there for the long haul. That's what we've kind of made that meaning. Or to constantly present. You don't think about the passive future, you're just here doing this thing, constantly present. To persistent, unremitting. Now, the last sentence was the one borrowed into English 400 years ago. This is an older term. In our stories, we want assiduous characters. We don't want characters who give up easily. Well, let's see. Maybe we want the antagonist to give up, but sometimes the antagonist is assiduous and pursues the protagonist with a dogged persistence. Now, I've told you about the Iron Droid series by Kevin Hearn. Angus Ohm, antagonist, is the one sending people to fight Atticus. Atticus, yeah, I think this is Atticus. In every chapter, he sends this person, they do this. He sends that person, they do this. He sends this person, they do this. So, in the current chapter that I'm in, I just finished the chapter and they're going to go to this place. But he has a group of witches that have captured Atticus's dog, his friend. And the friend is a werewolf, and the pack is trying to help Atticus. So they're going to go up, but the werewolf that's captured can think, dot to dot, telepathy kind of thing. And he thinks that he smells certain scents. He can't figure out what those are. But Atticus says, "Oh, that's a swan," because he can change into a swan, and he can take that form. So, this chapter, when I read this next chapter, he should be going to meet this Angus Ode. I don't know if it's the last chapter or not, because this is a Kindle book, so it's not like on this one, I can see how far I am in the book, and I can see how much I have to go. You can't do that in the Kindle. So I don't know if this is going to be the last time that he meets him, or somebody's going to escape, is like, you're looking forward to picking up and moving. Now, in most of these Lucky's books, Hunter, Elite, and Apex, those are 3 different books. The other siders are assiduous with how they break through an attack. It's like you never know when they're going to break through. You never know when they're going to break through. They just break through and they attack, and they break through and they attack. This is constant fighting. Constant fighting. And the only breaks they got were during the rainstorms. But assiduous, breaking through, assiduous attack, you never knew where it was going to be, you never knew when. You could pretty much figure that it was not raining, it's happening in that series. In The Mummy, however, the protagonist side was assiduous in their search for I found this book, I found this tome, I read this, let's go here, I'm reading the walls, and I think I'm getting close, let's go, all of it. So they were assiduous in trying to find the old relics or searching the tombs or whatever they were doing. And that was the protagonist side being assiduous. In your stories, which characters do you want to keep on keeping on? Well, that was something my dad used to say. Maybe they don't say it anymore. He was like, you need to keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. It has this assiduous kind of definition. It's like the definition of assiduous. It's like just keep going. That dogged persistence. So who do you want to be assiduous in your stories? Now, this character, as they're being assiduous, can move your story forward. Remember that ticking clock? You know, they do this. They move it forward. George walked in. He said, "You may not have donated, but you're still my wife." Gehenna yelled, "Get out! You can't be here." But she couldn't move. She felt pinned to the bed. She saw George change to a bat and light down her arm near the crease of her elbow. The bat then bit her. Gehenna screamed and used all her will to sling the bat off herself. She heard a thump, and then the door swung open and the lights turned on. Gehenna woke up. Lenora stuck her head in, and Gehenna could see Faiston's head above her hands. Gehenna sat up in the bed and looked around. "What happened?" "We were hoping you could tell us," said Lenora. "You screamed." Lenora glanced down to the floor near the door. She pushed inside the room and motioned to the floor. "There's blood on the floor." Faiston squatted down to look. Gehenna remembered her dream and raised her left arm. Blood was oozing through the two spots. "I'm bleeding." Lenora jerked her head to Gehenna. She quickly went to Gehenna and sat on the bed next to her. She grasped the tissues and applied pressure to the wound. Faiston stood and faced him. "The blood here smells like hers." Lenora asked Gehenna to tell them what happened, and Gehenna related the dream to them. After Gehenna finished, Lenora said to Faiston, "George is not strong enough for that." "No, but I thought his lawyer was old-fashioned," replied Faiston. "His lawyer was a three-headed dog." Lenora looked at her. "You saw beneath the glamour?" Gehenna shrugged. "I guess." "Okay," started Lenora. "After you stopped bleeding, and you were putting a ward on this house, because apparently mine wasn't strong enough." "But," started Gehenna, "I don't own this house, so mine here is less than mine in my house." Gehenna sighed, and her eyes went to the blood on the floor. "Why would I bleed in a dream?" Faiston sighed and motioned to Lenora. Started Lenora. "We think you were involved in a dreamscape." "What?" asked Gehenna. "A dreamscape," repeated Lenora. "But don't worry about that. Just keep your helmet on and place a ward on the house, and yourself." Gehenna thought that was one more thing she needed to learn about. Faiston said it was probably good that Lenora had the ward for this attempt, because if Goldstein didn't know Gehenna was clean, then he might not miss now. They headed to the kitchen for some supper, as Wolverine and a few others were coming in the door with all the meat and fixings for fajitas. "I really do need receipts," said Gehenna. "How else am I going to know how much to add to all of these accounts?" Wolverine laughed. "You are worried about the wrong thing." He sniffed the air. "Are you bleeding again?" He turned to Faiston. "What happened this time?" Faiston motioned to Gehenna. "I think she experienced a dreamscape." "A dreamscape?" said Calista as she came through the door. "I just read about those. Talk about surreal. Those dreams are very surreal. The book said most witches entered their first dreamscape about the age of 7. That book explained a lot of things I didn't understand." Wolverine asked her, "Did you read about when someone else enters your dreamscape?" Calista opened her eyes and around. "No. Can people do that? Can they hurt you?" Wolverine walked to Gehenna and inspected her arm. "Yes," he said, as he raised the arm for Calista to see. Wolverine dropped the arm and looked at Lenora. "Have you treated the wound yet?" "What was it from?" "It looks like bat teeth." "It was bat teeth," replied Lenora, as she glanced to Calista. "And no, I haven't put anything on it." Wolverine told Faiston to call Hanley. They went to the kitchen and started dishing up some plates. Gehenna told Calista about her dream, or her dreamscape. Afterwards, Wolverine she had flung the bat off herself. And here blood was halfway across the room. Hannah crawled in the bed and scrolled through her phone. She wasn't addicted to her phone like most people, but right now, that's what she needed. She found some cat videos and she kept watching. For the first time in weeks since the accident, she was smiling. She felt herself relax a little. Even though she had told herself that George sleeping on the couch was her new normal, it bothered her. And George leaving every night was also stressful, and doubly so when she saw him change to a bat and fly off. He and her hadn't realized how much she was stressed until she laughed a little. She didn't laugh out loud because Zarek was just outside. After watching the cat videos a little while, she got up and went to the mirror. She inspected all her wounds from the zombies. Then she peeked under the bandage of her new wound. She wondered if, in the dream state, George could have drained her blood down to the 2 or 3 pints. The hospital found Emily dead and left. That was a scary thought. Hannah went back to bed, but she decided that in the morning she would start reading about dreamscapes. In fact, she would text Calista to bring the book, or she would go to Calista's and pick it up. The night was uneventful, and Heather got up early. When she exited her bedroom, Zarek said he was sleeping in an upstairs room. Heather told him she lived in 3 beds, but Zarek said it didn't matter, because as a wolf he slept outside and on the ground for too many years to count. Heather found Nora in the kitchen. She asked Nora how she could be gone from her husband so much. And Nora told her that her husband was a druid, and she told Heather about someone from the Celtic culture. She explained that druids were part fae, and because of that, her husband knew quite a bit about their world. By their world, Heather realized that Aunt and Nora meant the witches, and vampires, and zombies. She wanted to ask if the druids were good, like the wizards, but she kept the question to herself. Nora watched her for a few minutes, and then explained that most groups had good and bad, and not all wizards were good. Hannah looked at her aunt and almost protested that surely all services were separated, weren't anywhere close to good. And Nora said, Goldstein is not an exception to the rules you are forming, but I want you to know there are exceptions. Will, my husband, is a good druid, but not all druids are good. As many fae are not good either. Hannah closed her eyes, shook her head. I'm not in reality anymore. This is just too much. Is there some type of fairy tale or mythical creature or being that isn't real? And Nora smiled kindly. Don't worry. You won't come in contact with ghosts. Will escaped the Fae Wars and came to the United States. He knows a few other Fae here, but he tries not to get involved. And he tries to live a normal mortal's life. That's what I want, said Hannah. I want a normal mortal life. That's what Islam, my sister, your mother, wanted for you, said Nora. That's also why this is so much for you right now. I'm here for you, and you don't have to worry about what Will thinks. Hannah finished her breakfast and then drove to Calista's to see if she could borrow the book. Charles let her in. Will you be okay for a few minutes before Calista comes in? I need to run. My physical today before work. I'll be fine, said Hannah. She watched him close the door. Soon Calista came in the living room, and Hannah told her she wanted to read the book. thought it was just a pawn shop scam thing to show something really bad, not yet available to the public, to make it seem like an exclusive deal. But once in the back room, and Nora asked her to sit down, and Nora then shuffled the tarot cards and dealt them out. Gaeta admitted that she was a bit annoyed, but she didn't want to be rude. After the tarot reading, and Nora told her, I said I have something to show you, and I did. I did the reading to make sure you were ready. Melissa said that she had no clue what Nora meant, but Nora got out a photo album and showed her lots of photos, including photos of their mom and Nora as young girls. In one photo, the two sisters were sitting on the steps of their grandmother's house. Melissa said she immediately wanted to get Gaeta and bring her and show her. But Nora shook her head. No, I said, Gaeta wasn't ready. Lisa started crying. Sis, I didn't want to keep anything from you, especially not pictures of Mom. I just saw a picture of Mom and Dad at their wedding, and it was the same one that Grandma had at her wedding on her dresser. And then I wondered why Grandma didn't have one of Nora and her husband. Lisa wiped her eyes and blew her nose and continued with her tale of everything she had learned over the years. Once they finished the conversation, it was, well, past lunchtime. Gaeta said she was going to Taco Bell and offered to bring Calista, but Calista had received a text from Charles asking her to pick up a few prescriptions, so she said they would go to Taco Bell another time. Gaeta said goodbye and headed out. She felt so lonely. Even though she knew that things down or someone else was following her, them following her didn't alleviate her loneliness. She didn't have George to talk to anymore, and her sister knew far more than she did about these things, and her sister had a relationship with Nora all those years. Gaeta felt out of the loop. It was an important loop in her life. She thought about driving to George's old office and talking to Terry, but Terry didn't know about vampires and witches. And what if George decided to stop off there? She would be violating the injunction. Gaeta racked her mind for some friend of hers that she could talk to, and she couldn't come up with one friend. She drove to Taco Bell, wrestling with her loneliness. Okay, Rogers, that's all I'm adding today. That was 2327 words. Leave a comment on if you would be afraid to sleep again after Gaeta's dreamscape. Leave a comment on learning that Nora's husband is a druid. Now, I understand that some authors don't think druids are fun. Kevin Hearn, the book I told you about, is one of those. But I have them in the same group in this story. So, leave your comments. Leave a comment on why you think Emily was in the dream. Leave a comment on if you were Gaeta, would you feel lonely, and would you want to talk to somebody, and would you just pick a friend and try to avoid the topics of vampires and witches and zombies and stuff. Join me Wednesday for our book club discussion on 1984. Join me Friday for Elementals. Join me Tuesday for some more